In 2024, IDW published a 40th anniversary special featuring stories set in several known TMNT universes. Thanks to Ciro Nieli and Lloyd Goldfine, the 2012 and 2003 iterations gained an additional chapter for the occasion. But what about Rise of the TMNT? Well, Andy Suriano, one of the show's creators, came back to tell one last story titled Farewell. Shockingly, that title served as both a goodbye to the universe and a Splinter. It would aim to provide some closure for the show's creators and its fans. So stay tuned as I cover this story, its connection to the cancelled third season, and most importantly, Splinter's groundbreaking last words. Andy Suriano provided the art for this short story, with letters from Tom Napolitano. Since he had already developed the future versions of many of these characters for the movie, he used them in this story. And speaking of which, let's dive into it. Farewell began 20 years in the future, when Armageddon, the herald of the Triceraton Empire, arrived on Earth to claim the planet for them. Of course, April, Casey, and the Turtles sent him back to his masters. Later that day, they returned to the lair, where we could see Todd weightlifting and Barry preparing some soup. The Turtles were happy about their accomplishments, but their victory felt bittersweet without Splinter there to give them one more hot soup. While Raph assured them that Splinter would have been proud of them, this wasn't enough for Leo, who never had the chance to say goodbye to him like his brothers. That's because Splinter died at a time when Leo's portals went screwy and sent him bouncing across the universe for months. Mikey, who had been training with Renette, used his mysticism to send Leo back to the time just before he was teleported away. It took Mikey several tries to take him to the right time and place. He sent him to prehistoric times, to when they were toddlers, to when they found out Big Mama's assistant was a turtle, to when Lou and Big Mama were spending quality time together, and finally, to the present. That is, the present they were trying to get to from the future, which I guess makes it the past from where they left from, but I'm sure you get it. Present Turtles were fighting Repo Mantis when future Leo fell on the villain. He then stopped present Leo from opening a portal, therefore preventing him from going missing. Repo escaped, but this was always going to happen. Future Leo explained that Splinter didn't have much time left, and he came to the past to give him a second chance to say goodbye. They returned to the lair, where they gathered around Splinter. He asked them not to be sad, because he had a long life, and all of them were the best part of it. He also told them that the Hamato spirit lived in all of them, so he could move on. Splinter thanked them for their love and patience with him, and that he felt he had been an okay father in the end. After saying his farewell, he took his last breath. Or so we thought. Splinter had the strength to deliver some explosive last words. He told them they had another brother and sister. And then he took his last breath. Before leaving for the future, Leo said one last hot soup. He had finally achieved closure and was ready to move on. And those were Master Splinter's last words. Now, even if you had watched all the episodes, the reveal about 2 additional siblings could have felt too out of nowhere. But this was one of the earliest seeds in the show, planted during Season 1, when they placed 2 additional pods on Draxum's machine, atop our 4 heroes. As you know, the show was cancelled halfway through the second season, forcing them to wrap up all the storylines in a few episodes. But there was already a plan for a third season, and with the Splinter story out of the way, it would have been an opportunity for the Turtles to grow. The initial idea was to reveal in the second season that Big Mama's assistant was one of those turtles and had been raised by Big Mama. This would have been a cracked mirror situation, giving the Turtles a look at what their lives would have been like had they not been raised by Splinter. Baron Draxum would have been the one to reveal the existence of the 2 additional turtles, and that they had a no-nonsense eldest brother missing or trapped across space, possibly in another dimension. This would have been the excuse to tackle the Krang storyline. In fact, in a scrapped scene from the original concept for the Rise movie, Armageddon was working for the Krang, something Andy used in the story but replaced with the Triceratons. But it would also have worked to bring the leadership conflict to the forefront. With the new turtle being the eldest brother, what would that mean for Raph and Leo? Raph would no longer be the eldest brother, and this would have opened the gates for Leo to become the leader. The season would probably have experimented with its 11-minute format as well, since the team would have split in two to rescue their long-lost family members. One group led by Splinter, the other by Barry. If you want to learn more about the behind-the-scenes and even the lost episodes of the second season, you should check out Colin Stein's The Art of Rise of the TMNT book by IDW. It's filled with episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes commentary, and you should definitely check it out. This story left me thinking about how amazing it would be to go back in time and get some closure by saying farewell to those who are no longer around. If you could do that, would you do it? Or do you think it could bring consequences to the space-time continuum? And more importantly, did this story give you closure? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you in the sewers.